How's it going, K27 here with my review for Ghost Giant on PSVR. Be forewarned, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't played it yet, go play that, come on back, and give it a watch. On to the review. I posted a poll the other day on Twitter asking which VR game I should try next, and the results were unanimous. Mind you, there were only 4 votes, but still. So I ended up playing Ghost Giant. After completing the game, I have to say they were 100% right to suggest this title. So before I begin this review, a huge thanks to those voters, including Brian and Desra from PSVR Without Parole. Ghost Giant is a story-based puzzle title created by Zoink and is the Swedish developer's first VR title. In it, you take the role of the titular Ghost Giant, and in each chapter, using your move controllers whilst in a stationary position surrounded by a diorama, you can interact with various items to help a little cat boy named Louie accomplish various tasks. Visually, the game is beautiful. I played on original PS4 and saw no problems with blurring, etc. that you would find in more realistic-looking VR titles. It's designed with a very homemade aesthetic similar to games such as Tearaway, where much of it looks like paper or cardboard, even with some items hanging from the sky by strings. The characters also come across as toy-like, with some appearing as though they're made of wood. Between the levels, you can move your ghost hands around and it leaves behind a stream that I found a lot of fun to play with and honestly would have enjoyed it as a separate mode. The puzzles are all fairly simple, with a couple of head-scratchers here and there, mostly due to simple things such as needing to do some things in an order that might not be outright apparent. For example, I spent way too long trying to get what I thought was a cannonball into a cannon, only to find out a bit later from a small piece of dialogue that while it does end up there, it was done so by one of the world's characters. Overall, though, there was no real issues with puzzles, and there are plenty of hints should you get stuck. Everything also feels good physically, and the items give off the illusion of proper weight. Some of the collectibles, however, such as the basketball, are a tad annoying, but nowhere near as much of a pain in the butt as the basketball net in Accounting Plus. Beyond the cutesy exterior and fun puzzles, however, is where the game really shines: the story. At first, Ghost Giant gives off the vibe of a fun little adventure or kids game, but then you start finding out that there's something wrong, and the game's story begins its dive into the topic of depression and the effects it has on the people around you, especially your children. The game does a wonderful job at showing these effects and how you do not need to go it alone. Louie tries to keep all these issues to himself, and it just causes more pain. Sometimes everyone needs a helping hand, whether it's from those who care about you or a pair of giant ghost hands. This had really connected with me as someone who has both suffered from depression as well as been around people who have also been through it. While it may seem hopeless at times, know that you're never alone. It's like they say, when you can't run, you crawl. And when you can't crawl, you find someone to carry you. Before long, I really felt for Louie, and while similar tales could easily end in tragedy, thankfully this tale ends on a hopeful note. The game offers a bit of replayability should you need to go back and obtain all the collectibles via the stage select screen, as well as a decent number of trophies. But even with obtaining all the collectibles during my initial playthrough, the game clocked in at about 3 or 4 hours. While I would have loved a longer game in this world, the story does so well at keeping it self-contained and complete that I really didn't feel cheated out of not having more. Perhaps a future title exploring Louie and Maurice's friendship and the trials of growing older and drifting apart could be a possible sequel. Ghost Giant is a wonderful game, and I highly recommend it for anyone who has a VR headset. The only negative I have to say is that I wish it was longer, and that's just a minor gripe. A solid 9 out of 10 for me. Do yourself a favor and give this one a go.